Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom and welcome back to today's Daf, which is Pesachim Tes Zayin. We're actually at the last word of Tes Vav and Beis Desanya. We're discussing the tumah pertaining to liquids. It appears that tumas mashkin is a much lower level than tumas oichlin. As opposed to food, which can become tamei min atera, can transmit tumah to others min atera. When it comes to mashkin, it's different. We have a four-way machlekes regarding the extent of tumah applied to mashkin. It appears that mashkin is a lower level entity than food. It's secondary to food. It's tuffle to food. It's not considered its own distinct entity as food is. And as a result, the tumah pertaining to mashkin doesn't have the same severity as it does when it comes to food items. The Sanya, as we learned in the Brisa, Safek mashkin. If you have a suffix regarding tumah concerning mashkin, litame, so if the suffix involves the question whether the mashkin themselves became tamei, that's the suffix tamei. Then we say it's tamei because the ability for mashkin to receive tumah is min haTorah. So that's a suffix d'oraisa. We go l'chomer. L'tamei acherim. But if it involves the question whether the mashkin transmitted tumah to other things, that is not min haTorah. That is only min d'Rabbanan, because min haTorah, this sheet holds, mashkin cannot transmit tumah to other things, and therefore, when there's a suffix involving that question, did the mashkin give over tumah to something else? Tar. The conclusion is that it's tar because it's a suffix involving a din d'Rabbanan, divi Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Meir holds that mashkin receive a tumah min haTorah, but cannot transmit tumah to others min haTorah. It's only min d'Rabbanan. Let's take a look at Rashi inside, from the top of the Amid. It says Rashi, Safek mashkel litame is tamei, litame acherim is Torah. Explains Rashi, Kishneilat Safek b'mashkel. When a suffix was generated regarding the mashke, betchilas tumasei, regarding the initial tumah, meaning did the mashke become tamei, kigain tamei she pashat ragli b'mashkel turn. So you have a fellow who's tamei, extended his foot towards mashkin which were tar. Safek noga, safek lo noga. There's a suffix whether or not he touched. Zeu safek mashkel litame. That is a suffix regarding the question whether the mashkin received tumah. Shenoil is suffix tumah. Tamei. So now, what is the halacha of this suffix tumah? It's tamei min ha-suffix. Why? Because savar tumas mashkin liyas atzman tmein doiraisahi. The ability for mashkin to mekabel tumah is min ha-Torah. Dechsiv b'chol mashke asher yishase. And the pasuk continues, b'chol kli yitma. So the pasuk is clearly telling us that mashke, which is drunk in a kli, can become tummy. Yitma can become tummy. So regarding its own reception of tumah, it's a doiraisa. Hilkach havi loisvek a doiraisa uluchumra. So since it's a suffix involving a din doiraisa, we go l'chumra. So that's regarding reception. Regarding transmission, that's an entirely different story. Suffix mashke litami acherim. If the suffix involves the question whether the mashke was mitame somebody else, keep going. Mashkin is holding a stick which is tipped with liquid, mashkin tmeim. V'zarkel ben a kikris, and he tossed a stick over to the loaves of bread. Ben a kikris tahir, who was tar. Now the question is safek noga, safek lo noga, whether or not the mashkin touched the kikris. Zeu safek mashkel l'tamei acherim. This is a suffix involving something else. Did it transmit to something else? This is the Mishnah of Seches Taris. What's the halacha there? Tar oisen akikris tahir sein. Those breads remain tar. The kasavar mashkin l'tamei acherim midrabbanan. The ability for mashkin to transmit tumah is only midrabbanan v'loy midoraisa. So it's a suffix involving midrabbanan. You go l'kula. V'loy doirish yitma d'chsiv gabe mashkin v'loshin yitama. Rabbi Meir says the pasuk which says v'chol mashke asher yishasa b'chol kli yitma means yitma. The mashkin themselves receive tumah min haTorah, but not yitame. We don't apply a drasha that yitma means yitame kimi mitame others, as some other shitas will. He doesn't do that. Therefore, hilkach havi leisveka d'Rabbanan l'kula. So regarding transmission of tumah, it's only d'Rabbanan because it's not sourced in the pasuk. The girsa isa. This is the girsa suffix mashke li tamei tamei. Regarding its own reception of tumah, the suffix is tamei because the raisa le tamei acherim tar. Regarding transmission, it's only drabanan, and therefore when there's a suffix involved, it's tar. So again, this is Shittas Rav Meir. Its own reception is min haTorah, transmission is min drabanan. Says the Gemara again on the top line, suffix mashkin li tamei tamei li tamei acherim tar divrei Rav Meir v'chein haya Rabbi Elazar oy mekadvar. So Rabbi Elazar concurred with Rav Meir that receiving tumah is min haTorah, transmitting is min drabanan. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer la koila tamei. He holds that even regarding bima tamei, liquids have the ability to transmit to others, whether it's to food, whether it's to kelim. La koil tamei. It's min haTorah. So if there's a suffix, you say it's tamei. A third shita, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon Oimrin, it depends. La'oichlin tmeim. If the suffix involves the mashkin tmeim, bima tamei oichlin, then the suffix is tamei because min haTorah has the ability to transmit tumah to food stuff. Lekelim term, however, if it involves kelim, then the Torah, because according to this shita, we split. Reception is min haTorah. Transmission to oichlin is min haTorah. To kelim, it's only midrabanan. So at this point, we have three shitas regarding tumas mashkin. We have Rav Meir says reception la'atzman, the mashkin receiving tumah is min haTorah. Transmitting it to others is only midrabanan. Rabbi Yehuda says in both directions it's min haTorah. According to Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Shimon, receiving tumah is min haTorah. Imparting tumah to something else, well, it depends. If it's oichlem min haTorah, if it's for kelim, it's only midrabanan. V'savar Rabbi Elazar mashkin islu ba'olam, islu tumah ba'olam. Is that so that Rabbi Elazar holds? Rabbi Elazar was the one who concurred with Rav Meir. Does he really hold that mashkin have any connection to tumah? Even they themselves can become tamei? That time we learned in the Brayso, Rabbi Elazar Omer, ein the tumah l'mashkin kol ikar. You meant to know that mashkin are totally free of tumah. Tate, I'll even prove it to you, Shari Aid, Yosef ben Yoy as a ish trader. So this person testified two things. Number one, al ayil kamtza dochen. Ayil kamtza is a certain type of grasshopper, that it's tar, it's mutabachila. Number two, he said, val mashkin base mitbachaya dochen, that the liquids found in the mace mitbachaya. That was a place in the Azora where they would rinse and dissect the carbonates. So any mashkin, any blood, any water found there was tar, because the Chachamim concerned about hefsed kachim, that the tumah might invalidate the carbonates, so they suspended the tumah in the Beis HaMitbachayim Dazor. So what does this prove to us? Rabbi Elazar says, I'll prove to you that mashkin cannot become tumah. Mashkin don't have tumah, because we have this testimony from Yosef and Yezre's trader regarding the grasshopper and regarding the liquids in the Azora, which are tar. Let's see Rashi. So where the Rashi lines widen, so 3 lines above that, Rashi begins, Rabbi Elazar Omer, ein tumah l'mashkin. Min haTorah, of course we're speaking about min haTorah, because in the Rabbanan, the mashkin have tumah. He's speaking about min haTorah has no tumah at all. Kol ikar, afilu tumas atzman. Even regarding themselves, they cannot even be makabel tumah. Oh, what happened to that pasuk that we cited earlier? It says Rashi, "V'haikol mashka asher yishasem mukul el kamad." The Gemara soon will apply that pasuk in hechsher b'shmaitin. The Gemara soon will say that it's not describing tumah of mashkin. Rather, the pasuk is saying that food which became moist, which became wet through this mashkin of the kli, has now become huchshel lekabel tumah. And since it's susceptible to tumah, yitma, the food can become tummy, but the mashkin themselves cannot become tummy. We'll see soon in the Gemara. So he has another interpretation, another application to this pasuk. So it's actually a false shita, right? He holds that mashkin cannot even be makabel tumah, let alone transmit tumah. So Rashi continues, Teida, I'll prove to you, the ein lehem tumah min haTorah kol ikar, afilu tumas atzm, that the mashkin have no connection to the concept of tumah, even regarding receiving tumah. Sharei heid Yosef ben Yezer al ayil kamtza dochen, because Yosef ben Yezer testified regarding this grasshopper, min chagav shmoy ayil kamtza, a grasshopper whose name was ayil kamtza dochen, Shu tar because lachili made it. The second thing he told us is va'al mashka beis mitbachaya dochin. Al mashkin shall beis mitbachayim shebazora. The liquids found in that area in that azora, kigon hadam v'amayim shem dochin. They're tar she'enon mekablan tumah. Chacham suspended the halach of tumah regarding the mashkin in the azora. So what does that prove to us? It can't be minat Torah. Apparently, the ability for the mashkin to become tummy is only d'Rabbanan, and they suspended it in the Beis Hamikdash. Alma tumas mashkin d'Rabbanan. Apparently, the concept of tumah regarding mashkin is only d'Rabbanan. Ubahani like Gozran, when it came to these mashkim in the Azora, they suspended their gzeira mishum efsed kachim. The idoraisa, because should this halacha be a doraisa halacha, heichim matzu Rabbanan l'tarin? How does the Rabbanan have the power to suspend, to remove this halacha? So Rabbi Lezer cites this Eidos, this testimony from Yosef ben Yezer regarding the mashkin in the Azor to prove his point that the entire concept of tumah regarding mashkin, whether to transmit, even to receive, is only midrabanan, and they suspended this halacha in the Beis Hamikdash. So now we have a kasha, because it doesn't seem to be consistent with Rabbi Lezer, who we quoted in the earlier brisa, as concurring with Rav Meir's shita, which was that although mashkin can't transmit minat Torah, but they themselves can become tamei minat Torah. Right up on the second line, we had v'chein hayir Rabbi Lezer oimik kedvara. He concurred with Rav Meir's shita. Here he's saying that there's no tumah at all minat Torah. Continues the Gemara. Okay, hanich l'shmuel. It can work well according to shita Shmuel de Amar dochein mulatame tumas achir. Shmuel says that when Yosef ben Yezer Ish Trader spoke about the mashkin beis mitbachai being tor, he meant that it's tor from transmitting tumah, because that's midarabbanan, that was suspended in the Beis Hamikdash. Aval tumas atzmon yeshna, but certainly their own tumah, the ability to receive tumah, they still have, even in the Beis Hamikdash, because that's minat Torah. So Shmuel interpreted the halacha only as pertaining to transmission, but not to receiving shaper. So that will work, because that's consistent with Rabbi Lezer earlier in the Brisa, who followed Rav Meir, who says that regarding transmission, it's only d'Rabbanan, but reception is Naraisa. So there's no contradiction. Elo the Rav, the Amar, Dochin Mamish. However, according to Rav, who says that when Yosef ben Yezer spoke about the mashkin and azor being tar, he meant absolutely tar, Dochin Mamish. It can't transmit, it can't receive, which indicates that on both accounts it's only the Rabbanan. And if Rabbi Lezer is quoting this halacha and proving his point from there, that indicates that he holds that mashkin is free of tumah minat Torah, completely free, which seems to be inconsistent with Rabbi Lezer earlier, who concurs with Rabbi Meir that mashkin can receive a tumah minat Torah. Michael and Meir, what are we going to say? Amar Nachmar Yitzchak Achad, that when Rabbi Lezer followed Rabbi Meir, it was only pertaining to one element of Rabbi Meir's shita. Right? Rabbi Meir said two things. Number one, mashkin can receive tumah minat Torah. Number two, it cannot transmit minat Torah. So Rabbi Lezer agreed with the second element of Rabbi Meir's statement. It can't transmit minat Torah. But regarding the first one, he disagrees. He holds that even reception of tumah is only midrabanan, and when it comes to the azara, the Chacham suspended all tumahs regarding mashkin, since they're only midrabanan. V'hakadvarav kamar. How can you say that? The Brisa tells us that Rabbi Meir said one thing, said another thing, and Rabbi Lezer, v'chein Rabbi Lezer omer kidvarav, v'hakadvarav kamar d'nefishi. It seems that he's concurring with the many things Rabbi Meir said, both elements of his shita, transmission and reception. Furthermore, we have v'chein Rabbi Lezer omer kidvarav, which appears that Rabbi Lezer is exactly the same shita as Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Lezer there indicates that mashkin can be mekabel tumah minat Torah, and here in the most recent brisa, he seems to say that mashkin are totally free of the concept of tumah minat Torah. Kasha, indeed, we leave it as unresolved kasha, according to Rav's interpretation. Gufa, so we just learned that regarding the liquids found in the azara, which are deemed to be tar, we have two interpretations of the definition of the word tar. Rav Amar dochin mamish, they're completely tar. They cannot transmit, they cannot receive. Because according to Rav, Tumas Mashkin, the entire concept of Tumas Mashkin, whether reception or transmission, is only the Rabbanan, and that was suspended in the Beis HaMikdash. So Rav Amar Dochein Mamish, Ushmuel Amar no, Dochein Milatame Tumas Achir. They are free from transmitting Tumah to others, because that's only the Rabbanan, and that was suspended in the Beis HaMikdash. Aval Tumas Atzmon Yeshlan. However, they still have the ability to be Mekabel Tumah, even in the Beis HaMikdash, because that's Minat Torah, and that cannot be sidestepped. Explains the Gemara. Rav Amar Dochein Mamish, because he holds Kasavar, because according to him, Yosef ben Yezer Ish Shreda holds Tumas Mashkin the Rabbanon. The entire concept of Tumah involving Mashkin is only the Rabbanon. V'chigaz Rabbanon b'Mashkin the Alma. And the Rabbanon only applied their Gzera regarding typical liquids, non-Beis HaMikdash liquids. Or Mashkin Beis Mitbachai Gazer. But the Mashkin found in the Beis HaMitbachai Nazara, over there did not apply any Tumah. Ushmol Amar Dochin Milatame Tumas Achirim. When Yosef ben Yezer spoke about the Mashkin in the Beis HaMitbachai being Torah, he meant pertaining to transmitting the Tumah to others. Aval Tumas Atzman Yeshlam, but certainly they have the ability to receive Tumah. Of course. Why? Because Savar Tumas Mashkin Atzman Dairais. Because Yosef ben Yezer holds that the ability for the Mashkin to receive Tumah is Minat Torah, and that could not have been suspended in the Beis HaMikdash. That's Minat Torah. To transmit Tumah to others, that is Rabbanon, and that was suspended in the Beis HaMikdash. V'chigaz Rabbanon b'Mashkin da'ama. Where did the Chacham apply the Gzera? Only pertaining to typical, normal liquids. B'Mashkin Beis Mitbachai like Gozer, but when it comes to the Mashkin in the Beis HaMitbachai, they didn't apply the Gzera. V'chiloi Gozer Rabbanon. When did they not apply it? Only when it involves transmission to others, because that's when the Rabbanon. Aval Tumas Atzma Yeshlam, but regarding their own Tumah, of course, they still have that ability to be Mekabel Tumah, because that's not Torah, and that could not have been suspended. So Tumas Atzman Yeshlam. Okay, so in conclusion, we have several shittas regarding Tumas Mashkin, and it's based on the pasuk which says V'chol Mashke Asher Yishasa V'chol Kli Yitma. Rameya says this pasuk indicates that Mashkin have the ability to receive Tumah Minat Torah. So la'atzman, it's tummy. However, la'achir, to transmit to others, Minat Torah, that's Torah. Rabbi Yehuda says, not only la'atzman is tummy, even la'achirim is tummy, because the pasuk is meant to be darshan like this: B'chol kli yitamei, that the mash can have the ability to go ahead and be matam, even a kli. Rabbi Shimon hold tumas atzman, to receive tumah. Yes, mash can have that ability Minat Torah to transmit to others. Well, only to other oichlil, but not to other mashkin. As Rashi explains, the Gemara later in the parak will discuss their source. Then we proceeded to Yosef ben Yezer Ish Shreda, who tells us that the mashkin Beis Mitbachaya, found in this specific place in the Azora, it would seem that it applies anywhere in the Azora. So, due to Hefsed Kach, Chacham suspended the tumah there. To what extent? Rav and Shmuel. Rav says Chacham suspended all tumah, because he holds that Minat Torah, mashkin don't even have the concept of tumah, not for themselves, nor to transmit to others. So, although min darabanan they do, but in the Beis HaMikdash they suspended that tumah for concern of hefsed kachim. Where Shmuel says that Minat Torah, mashkin can become tummy. They cannot transmit Minat Torah, but since they can receive Minat Torah, when the Chacham suspended the tumah in the Beis HaMitbachai, it was only regarding transmission, because that's min darabanan. So that they can suspend, but regarding Tumas Atzmon, which is Minat Torah, that remains in place, since that's a Tumah Minat Torah. Continues the Gemara. Amar le Rav Huna bar Chinan lebrei. So Rav Huna bar Chinan instructed his son, Ki ailis lekamed Rav Papa. When you go to Rav Papa, Ramile, ask him the following question: Mi Amar Shmuel dochin mulatame Tumas Achirim. Is that so? That Shmuel says that the water, the blood in the Azara is tar from being matame others. It doesn't have the ability to transmit to others. But on their own, they're tame, because Minat Torah they can receive tumah, and that wasn't tampered with. So they're tame, but we say that even if they touch something else, even if they touched basar of kachim, that basar is fully tar because they can't receive tumah from mashkin. Is that the case? Karikan, why don't we apply over here the pasuk? V'habasar asher yiga b'chol tamei lo yachal. So the basar of kachim, which comes into contact with anything which is tummy, such as this mashkin, which is tummy, can no longer be eaten. So we see that any kachim which touches tumah is disqualified. So likewise, this mashke, which is tummy on its own, if something comes into contact with it, if this kachim touches it, it should become puzzle, it should become tummy. You can't eat it. So how can Shmuel say that the mashkin are tummy, but if they touch kachim, if they touch something else, it doesn't affect it? Amar Shisha Bered Idi, we find a precedent to this concept. Midi da'ava arvi b'kodesh. We found a precedent when it comes to revi. When it comes to kachim, we know that things begin by alatuma, touches something, becomes a rishon, it goes down the line to a sheni, touches something, becomes a shlishi, that touches something else, that becomes a revi. So when it comes to kachim, we go all the way down the line to revi latuma. Now, what is the halacha of a revi latuma? Tumah ends right there. It doesn't carry further. So we see that although it has tumah, it's tumah, it's a revi, but it can't transmit the tumah further. So we have a precedent to this concept. Here as well, when it comes to the mashkin, although it's tummy, but no wonder that it can't be matami something else. It's too weak to transmit tumah. Says, how could you compare maskef l'Rav Ashi? Revi b'kodesh leikri tummy. In contrast to the revi by kachim, it's not called tummy, it's called pasal. We're going to learn later in the parak. We're learning from a Kabbalah that it's disqualified. You're right, it doesn't have the status of tumah. It's a weak type of thing, it's pasal. So yeah, it can't transmit to something else. Haikra tummy, but when it comes to the mashkin, we're calling it tummy. The pasuk calls it tummy. B'chol mashke, asher yishasa b'chol kli yitma. The mashkin is tummy. How can you say that it ends right there and doesn't impart, doesn't transmit tumah to the piece of basar kodesh which touches it? Kasha, we leave it unresolved. So this now is the second time we leave something unresolved. Here it's on Shmuel, and the previous time it was on Rav. Okay, now the Gemara is going to go back to Machlokes Rav and Shmuel regarding Tumas Mashkin. We concluded that according to Rav, Mashkin doesn't have any connection to the concept of Tumah Minatur, not to transmit, nor to even receive Tumah upon itself. The Gemara is going to ask a string of kashas on Rav Shita. Tashma. The pasuk says, "V'chol mashke, asher yishasa, b'chol kli yitma." Clearly telling us that mashke can become tummy. How can Rav say that mashke is totally free of tumah minatur? Ma yitma, says the Gemara. What does that mean? Hichshir. It means to say that the oichel, because the pasuk there is speaking about oichel. It begins like this: Mikola oichel asher yochel, any food. Asher yavai olav mayim yitma. So food which receives water upon itself became moist. Yitma means that the oichel now can become tummy if it touches something which is tummy, because it became huchshar. And then we have the second part of the pasuk, b'chol mashke, asher yishasa b'chol kli. Likewise, this is going to be the interpretation according to Rav. The mashke which is drunk in any kli, which arrived on food and made it huchshel l'kabel tumah yitma. Now the food has the ability to touch something which is tummy and become tummy. So according to this interpretation, the pasuk is not implying that water, that mashkin, can become tummy. We're speaking about the oichel that received the water now became susceptible to tumah. Ma yitma hichshir. Hichshir me'ireisha the krosh hamasle. We already know that from the beginning of the pasuk. The pasuk clearly tells us oichel asher yochel asher yava olav mayim yitma. So we already know the concept from there. Why the repetition? Says the Gemara, chad v'tlushin v'chad v'chubaran. They're speaking about different types of water. The initial part of the pasuk, speaking about water which is still connected to the ground. Whereas the second part of the pasuk, speaking about water which is in a kli. And that also has the ability to be machsher l'kabel tumah. Chad v'tlushin. Second part of the pasuk is speaking about detached water, it's in a kli. And the initial part of the pasuk is speaking about water which is still in ground. That they both have the ability to be machshir, food, and kabbalah tumah. And they're both necessary. They both carry a chiddush. The yashmin and betlushin. The Torah would only discuss detached water, which was filled in a pail, which was designated for personal use, because he granted chashivas, he gave them prominence, he designated for personal use, whereas that has the ability to be machshav. But perhaps water which is still connected in ground, which he was not yet machshav, it cannot be machshav l'kabotum. If the Mishnah, if the pasuk would only discuss attached in ground water, that it has the ability to be machshav, I would say, well, that also has an advantage. Mishum dekaimi beduchtai, because they're in their home turf. Chashiva, that gives them chashivas. It's still connected to the ground and in their makom. But water which has been removed from its source, detached, perhaps that no longer has the chashivas. Perhaps it cannot be machshav tzrichi. That's why the pasuk finds it necessary to mention both types of water who have the ability to be machshav. Tashma, we have another raya from a pasuk, which would seem to be a kasha to Rav. Rav says that water never is makabel or transmits tumah. The pasuk says arach mayon, a spring, or bur, mikveh mayim, a gathering of water, here tar, which indicates that it's only because it's in ground. It's tar, but if it's already detached, separated from the ground, it can become tameh, which indicates that water has the ability to be makabel tumah. Mayi tar mitum asay. The pasuk is not in reference to the water itself being tar or tameh, rather to a person. If a person who's a tameh enters in ground water, he becomes tar. That's all the pasuk means. So only if he enters an in-ground pool, he becomes tar. But if he enters a gathering of mayim she'uvin, of detached water, he goes into a bathtub, that won't be matayim. Okay, so we have two kashas on Rav, and we answered both. Let's discuss hechsher for a moment. Utelushin mimachshir. So you tell me that water, whether it's in ground or separated or detached, filled in a pail, has the ability to be machshir l'kabel tumah. Is that so? Va'am Rabbi Yehuda Kessler. Didn't Rabbi Yehuda Kessler tell us? Mashkin beis mitbachayim. The mashkin in the beis mitbachayim in the Azor. Loy dayan shein dochein. Not only are they actually tar and are not susceptible to tumah, ela shein machshir. They cannot even be machshir something l'kabel tumah. So if that water falls onto food, that food is not yet hushal l'kabel tumah. What does this prove? Apparently, this ability of water to be machshir, this ability of detached water to be machshir, is only d'Rabbanan. That explains why the Chachamim, how the Chachamim had the ability to suspend this concept in the Beis Hamikdash. Because should it be min haTorah, Chacham wouldn't have the power, wouldn't go ahead and remove that din min haTorah in the Beis Hamikdash. So this proves that it's only d'Rabbanan. And you just told me that we actually learned it from a pasuk. Says Martir Gemal Dam. Let's apply Rabbi Yehuda Chanina's halacha to be referring strictly to the dam, the blood in the Azor. So when he said that the mashkin basement b'chaya cannot be machshir, he's referring strictly to the dam of the karbonas. To Amar Abchia ba'Abba Rav Yechanan. Minayin l'dam kachim she'eni machshir. How do we know that the dam of karbonas does not have the ability to be machshir l'kabel tumah, because it's dissimilar to water, and something which is going to be machshir has to be similar to water. The dam has to be equated to water. Shenemar ala oretz yishbechanu kamayim. We learn from here that only dam shenishbach kamayim machshir. In order for the pasuk they're speaking about during shchita, don't eat the dam and spill it out on the oretz. We learn from there that pertaining to hechshel l'kabel tumah, the only type of a dam that can be machshir is if it's similar to water. It's nishbach kamayim. It's spilled out on the floor like water, and that excludes the dam of kachim, which needs to be collected in a kli for the Kabbalah, for the Zrika on the Mizbeach. Let's see Rashi. 3 lines from the bottom. Tirguma. So let's apply the statement of Rabbi Yehuda Chanina as pertaining merely to dam. Tirguma lahodik tani ein machshirin adam. The mashke basement b'chaya. That dam of the basement b'chayim. Below mayim. It's not referring to water. What's wrong with the dam of kachim? Why can't it be machshir? The dam kachim rachmana afke. The Torah excluded that dam, the loy lichsher, and did not allow it to be machshir. Because Rabbi Chia tells us, we learn from the pasuk, ala oretz shpechanu kamayim. So we learn from the dam shenishbach kamayim, says Rashi, dam chulin, non kachim, she'ein choshen l'kabel b'kli, because we're not too particular about receiving in a kli, machsher. That can be machsher. This choshen l'mayim, because it's equated to water, it's just spilled out. Avodam kachem miskabel b'kli, as opposed to the dam of the carbon, which is collected in a kli. V'tzarch menu mizbech, it's needed for the mizbech. Ve'ein nishbach l'ibud, you don't just spill it out. Kamayim. Ein machsher, that can't be machsher. Lo yiskash l'mayim, that's not connected to mayim. So again, on the last line here, dam shenishbach kamayim, machsher. Continues the Gemara, dam she'ein nishbach kamayim, ein machsher, but otherwise, it's not going to be machsher, something l'kabel tumah, and that's not from a pasuk. So it's unrelated to our discussion. We spoke about water. Water certainly is going to be machsher l'kabel tumah, whether it's still in ground or whether it's separated, it's detached. But when it comes to dam, then we find a distinction between chulin, which is machsher, and kachim, which is not. Continues the Gemara. Maskefler of Shmuel Barbami. So ask the kasha. You're giving me this formula. Dam, which is nishbach kamayim, is machsher. Haridama tamtzis. What about this secondary dam? So we have the initial spurt of the dam after the shechita, and then we have dama tamtzis, which comes out, it drips out later. That's the nishbach kamayim. That is something which you just spill out. Even when it comes to the carbon, you don't hold on to that dam because it's not suitable for zrika. Only the dam hanefesh, the dam which contains the nefesh, is going to be applied to the mizbeach. But the secondary dam which trickles out later, that's nishbach kamayim, ve'enu machsher. And still no, we learned, Rabbi Yehuda tells us that the dam of the Beis HaMitbachim is not machsher, even though we're speaking about even dam hatamtzis, which is something nishbach kamayim. So, if you tell me that when dam has the element of nishbach kamayim, it has the ability to be machsher, how does this work? How can we say that the dam hatamtzis is not going to be machsher? Even though it's nishbach kamayim, it's not reserved for the mizbeach. So how can Rabbi Yehuda tell us that all the dam of the kachim is not machsher? Even the dam hatamtzis, which is spilled out like water. Amalei Rabbi Zera, so Rabbi Zera responded, Hanach l'dam hatamtzis. Leave dam hatamtzis alone. Dafilu b'chule nami le machsher, because it's never going to be machsher. Not only by kachim. This type of secondary dam is not really considered, not really classified as true dam. It doesn't contain the nefesh, and it doesn't have the ability to be machsher in any case, whether chulin or kachim. I'm going to see soon why. Kibla minei Rav Shmuel Bar Ami. So Rav Shmuel Bar Ami received the pshat. You heard the pshat from Rav Zera. Why? Why indeed do we exclude this dam hatamtzis from being machsher l'kabel tumah? Dam rachmana, because the pasuk says, Rak chazak, strengthen yourself, Levilti echol adam, to refrain from eating dam, ki adam hu nefesh, because the dam is the nefesh. It contains the nefesh of the animal. So we learn from here, only dam sha nefesh yoytze boy kari dam. The Torah here implies that only true dam, the initial dam, the initial spurt which contains the nefesh, dam sha nefesh yoytze boy, the initial primary dam with which the nefesh of the animal exits the animal, that is kari dam, that is the true dam. Dam she'ina nefesh yoytze boy ain't a kari dam. However, the secondary dam which trickles out afterwards, with which the nefesh doesn't go out, which doesn't contain the nefesh of the animal, ain't a kari dam, doesn't have the status of dam, and therefore doesn't have the ability to be machsher, because machsher l'kabel tumah is strictly if we have the true dam, but not the dam hatamtzis, which doesn't contain the nefesh. Okay, so in conclusion regarding machsher l'kabel tumah, we know that there's actually a siman that contains the 7 primary liquids which have the ability to be machsher. Yad shachatam. So we have yayin, wine. Daled is dam. Shachat is shin is shemen. Ches is chalav, milk. Tes is tal, dew. And daled is dvash, honey. And mem is mayim. So if these 7 primary liquids come into contact with food, and that is now hushel l'kabel tumah. We learned that dam kachim is not machsher because it's ein nishbach kamayim. It's received in a kli, reserved for the mizbeach, and therefore is dissimilar to water. And we learned that Dama Tamtzis, that secondary blood, in any case, whether Chulin or Kachim, is not going to be Machshir because it's not Dama Nefesh, and not really classified as a true Dam. When it comes to Mayim, we learn from a Pasuk. Whether it's Talish or Mechuber, it will be Machshir L'Kabel Tumah. Continues the Gemara with another list of Kashas on Rav. Rav was the one who told us that Mashkin are free, completely free of Tumah. Minatur. Whether to receive Tumah, whether to impart Tumah to others. I'm going to have a list of Kashas. Tashma. Dam shenitma uzrakai. If we have the dam of the carbon which became Tameh, and he applied it to the Mizbech, he did Zrika. B'shogeg hurtza, if it was done inadvertently, hurtza, then the carbon is received and is kosher. B'mezid, if it was done deliberately, like hurtza, it doesn't work. The carbon was not hurtza, was not accepted by Hashem. And the Gemara elsewhere discusses the reason for this. But what pertains to us is that apparently dam can become Tameh. It's pretty clear that dam has the ability to be Tameh. There's a Kashan Rav. It says, what with the Rabbanon? Minat Torah, true. Dam cannot become Tameh. The Brisa here is referring to Tumah Rabbanon. Now, although Rav maintains that, according to Rabbi Yosef ben Yezer Ish Trader, since dam is free from Tumah, completely free Minat Torah, and it's only the Rabban that can be Tameh. That's why the Chacham suspended the entire concept of Tumah in the Beis HaMikdash. So that's his shita. But this Brisa reflects an opinion of a different Tana, Udeloy Rabbi Yosef ben Yezer Ish Trader. This Brisa is in disagreement with him and holds that, although it's only the Rabban, they did not suspend that Tumah in the Beis HaMikdash. Okay. Tashma, we have another Rai from another Brisa that seems to say that dam can become tamei, and mashkin have the ability to become tumah min Torah. Al ma'atzitz meratz. We learned that the tzitz, the plate placed on the forehead of the kohen gadol, it accommodated for some deficiencies in the carbon. It was meratz. It remedied the carbon and allowed it to be accepted by Hashem. Al ma'atzitz meratz. What type of deficiency would the tzitz apply that remedy? Al hadam, vala basar, vala chalev, whether it's dam, basar, or fat of the carbon. Shenitma, that became tamei. Bein b'shogeg, bein mezid, bein b'onis, bein b'ratzon. It's irrelevant how it happened. Whether shogeg, mezid, whether inadvertently, deliberately, unknowingly, knowingly, bein b'yachad, bein b'tziva, whether it was a carbon yachad, carbon tziva, the tzitz is meratz. Apparently, dam can become tamei. Says the moment of Rabbanon. Once again, we're speaking within the context of the Rabbanon, but certainly Minat Torah. Rav is correct that mashkin cannot become tamei. And again, Udeloy Ki Yosef ben Yezer Trader, apparently this Brisa that holds that the mashkin can become tamei even in the Beis HaMikdash is unlike Rabbi Yosef ben Yezer Trader Shita, who maintains that Chacham suspended this whole concept in the Beis HaMikdash. Tashma, we have another raya. V'nosa Aaron, Aaron would carry the oven, the deficiency of kachim, and provide remedy. Now, which oven, which transgression are we speaking about? Which one in particular? Im oven pigel. Are we speaking about a deficiency related to pigel? So Rashi explains that we're speaking that the kohen, when he did the avodah, he had something wrong in mind. He intended on eating the carbon outside of the mokim, the prescribed area. So is it that deficiency that Aaron HaKohen will cover for? It can't be. The pasuk says it won't be accepted by Hashem. There's no way out. There's no way to remedy it. Are we speaking about that the kohen had a machshava to eat the carbon beyond the zman achila and invalidate the carbon in that manner, and that's what Aaron is going to cover for. The carbon won't be reckoned with. There's no remedy. Apparently, Aaron HaKohen will carry el avoin tumah. It's going to be the deficiency of tumah that he will cover for. Shehutra michlala b'tzibur, because tumah has a leniency. In a carbon tziva, we can be makir even when it's tamei. So we see that tumah is a more lenient form of deficiency, and when the carbon becomes tamei, Aaron HaKohen with his tzitz on his forehead will be meratza, will serve to remedy that carbon. Okay, so speaking of tumah, My love tumas dam. Perhaps we're speaking about that the dam becomes tamei. Why? Explains Rashi, because ritzui, this acceptance by Hashem, seems to be referring to the part of the carbon which is vital for the success of the carbon, which is generally referred to as the dam of the carbon, which is the crucial element of the carbon. That generates the kapara. And over here we require ritzui for the kapara, for the dam. Apparently the dam became tamei. So we see from here that dam mashkin can become tamei. There's a kasha to Rav. Omar papaloi tumas kumatzim. We're not speaking about the dam, rather the koimetz, the scoop, and the kohen scoops out of the mincha, which is similar to the concept of dam by a carbon. Just as the dam by the carbon is mechaper on the carbon, the kmitza from the mincha is put on the mizbeach, and that serves to be mechaper, bring the kapara for the mincha. So that's what happened. That koimetz became tamei, and that's what Aaron HaKohen will carry. He will remedy that deficiency. But certainly when it comes to dam, there's no tumah at all by dam. Minater. Tashma, one final raya. There's a pasuk in Chagai. So Chagai Hanavi, he was testing the Kehanim. Right when they returned to the Beis Hamikdash, the second Beis Hamikdash after a long gullus, he wanted to query them. He wanted to see if they knew the halachas of Tumah v'Tahara. So he posed the following riddle. He said, "Hey, niyisa ish basar kodesh b'knaf bigdei." What would happen in the following scenario? If a person is holding on to basar kodesh, Rashi says, actually it's a euphemism. It's not very kodesh, it's actually a sheretz, a dead sheretz. So this fellow is holding on to a sheretz b'knaf bigdei, using the corner of his beged. So he's holding on to a sheretz. And what does he do with that sheretz? V'naga b'kanfel lechem. And he comes into contact with lechem. So the sheretz is what? An avatum. Now that he touched the lechem, becomes a rishon. That lechem in turn came into contact with ve'el hanazid, on this dish. So it touched this dish. Ve'el yain, and then that dish, which is a shein l'tumah, proceeded to touch yain, making that a shlishi. The yain proceeded to touch ve'el shem, and oil. And now we have the final stage of tumah, a reveal l'kodesh, a reveal l'tumah. Ve'el kol machal. Hayigdash. So he wanted to know, is that final thing, that shemen, is it kaddish, meaning is it tamei? Vayano kahana v'yom eloi. No, they respond, no, certainly not. V'marav ishtabish kahani. The kahana were off. They were mistaken. They didn't realize that there's such a thing as a reveal of tumah by kaddish. Okay, so that was the brais. Says the Gemara, apparently, wine, oil, even in the Beis Hamikdash, we're tamei. We're tamei min haTorah. There's a pasuk in Ksubim, right? So it's a raya that these things can become tamei min haTorah. Now, even if let's say you say that it's only midrabanan, but it's still kasha on Rav, because didn't Rav tell us that Chacham suspended the tumah midrabanan anyway in the Beis Hamikdash, right? That was the edus of Yosef ben Yezer Streda, that mashka beis mitbachai is dochin, is completely tar. So why do we find that there's a tumah applied to the yain and the shemen in the Beis Hamikdash? Answers the Gemara, it's unrelated. Midi hutama el Rav. This kasha that we're asking is concerning Rav's shita. Rav mashka beis mitbachayatani with a test, beis hamit bachayim, the butcher area of the Azorah. Rav presented the halacha as applying to the base mitbachaya. Yeah, over there it's tar. The water, the dam, aval mashke base midbachaya, metame. But certainly the mashkin of the what's midbachaya? Mizbeach. The liquids reserved for the mizbeach. The shemen, the yayin, which is meant to be used for the mizbeach, a carbon. There's no allowance there. There's no suspension of the halachas of tumah there. He wasn't referring to this type of liquids. Tomorrow soon we'll go into it, all the different halachas. Mitbachai, we'll discuss it in the next daf Be'ez Hashem. But if there's a distinction between the mitbachai, which include the dam and the mayim, which are certainly Torah according to Rav, as opposed to the other liquids in the Beis Hamikdash, the yayin, the shemen, which can become tamei midrabanan, then there's no kasha from this pasuk on Rav. Okay, time for a brief chazara of today's daf. We discuss tumas mashke, which is based on a pasuk which says v'chol mashke asher yishase b'chol kli yitma. We have 4 shittas. Rameya says we learn from this pasuk that the mashke can become tama yitma. So in our Torah they have tumas atzma, they can receive tuma, but they cannot transmit tuma to others. The pasuk is speaking about yitma. It in itself will become tame, but to transmit to others, it's only midrabanan. So the Brisa tells us if there's a suffix involving tuma, well, it depends. If it involves it in Torah, such as the question whether the mashkin have received tuma, then we have to go to chumrah, and it's tame. If it involves transmission to others, which is only midrabanan, then the suffix is l'kula. According to Rabbi Yehuda, in both directions, it's tame min Torah. He learns the pasuk asher yishasa b'chol kli yitame, that the mashkim have the ability to be tame even a kli min Torah. Rabbi Yisrael Shimon say to be makabel tuma, yeah, that's min Torah. To transmit depends. Foodstuffs to oichlim, it is mitame min Torah, but to give over tuma to a kli, that it can't do min Torah. We proceeded with Yosef ben Yezer Ish Tzreida, who told us 2 things. He spoke about this grasshopper, which is mutar b'achila, and also that the mashkin of the base mitbachaya, and the base of mitbachaya, the butcher area, and the azor, where they would rinse and dissect the karbanis, the water, the dam contained therein was tar. Rashi explains, we're concerned about hefsed kachim. So Chacham suspended the tumah midrabanan in that area. Machlekes to what extent they suspended. According to Rav, it is completely tar there because he holds that mashkin never have the ability to either become tameh or to transmit tumah. It's only midrabanan, and that was suspended in the Beis Hamikdash. Shmuel holds, no, not to that extent, because mashkin received tumah min Torah. That could not have been tampered with in the Beis Hamikdash. That remains intact. The transmission is only midrabanan, and therefore in the Beis Hamikdash that was suspended. We proceeded with the concept of machshel kabel tumah. So any one of these 7 primary liquids, which are hinted in the words yad shach adam, falls onto food. That food is now hushel kabel tumah. However, when it comes to dam of karbonis, that can't be machshel because it's not nishbach kamayim. Therefore, it's dissimilar to water. It's meant to be collected in the kli, placed in the mizbeach. We learned that dam atamtis, that secondary dam, which doesn't contain the nefesh, cannot be machshir because only if it's dam ha-nefesh is it really considered true dam and can be machshir. And we learned that when it comes to water, whether it's detached or whether it's mechuber to the ground, it can be machshir kabatum. And actually, Rav learned that from the pasuk, which begins by describing water in groundwater and concludes by describing collected water. The more tells us the pasuk needs to mention both because each one has a respective chiddush. Perhaps in ground is more chashav, and perhaps detached, which has been designated for personal use, is more chashav. So perhaps I would think that only one can be mashal, not the other. That's why the pasuk needs to describe both of them. All types of water, whether in ground or talish, can be mashal l'kabatum.